that's like the biggest challenge with these now. Like we were talking about this earlier. Somebody was saying, I don't know, we were talking about intake or something like that. And I told him, I said, like, you don't realize it, but the HN has been discontinued for 4 years already. Like we're almost at 2015. Last year production on these was 2011. So how do you change with everything that's like? If you have a full race exhaust and you have a skunk 2 header, you kind of have the same thing everybody's had for the last 6 or 7 years.
Correct.
There's nothing new on it.
This is where we begin. Originality is something that I don't want. RickSpec needs to stand out. But you know what? Owning a shop isn't about you. It's about having fun and working as a team. Teamwork makes the dream work.
I make better funny faces than you. Yeah, let me see your funny face. That was not that funny. I didn't even laugh. Look like.
50's not bad. I mean,
50 is like
Listen,
Blake Griffin.
Sir Brickalot here.
I
Sir
didn't even shoot. I
Brickalot
shot
free throw line.
I shot 4 shots yesterday.
That's because you wanted to. You had the ball. You could have shot
Exactly. I'm not a jack.
it.
I'll pass first.
I know what I do.
Especially when we have 20.
so who's the defensive specialist?
Him.
Me, because he don't play no defense.
Lockdown dude.
No, he don't play no defense.
I go
That's
and get a
mellow.
rebound here and there.
That's
I'm
He
the
mellow.
don't play
mellow. I'm
no
mellow.
defense.
I'm the mellow of the team.
No, he's like Ray Allen.
I have a saying these last couple of weeks where it's like teamwork make the dream work, because for whatever reason when you go online everyone feels like there's one person that did something, and it's like, yo, it's so far-fetched from reality. That's the biggest crock of like when they're like, oh, this guy did this, like, yo, go against the biggest race team that's out there and I promise you, like, you're gonna see at least 5 or 6 different dudes that work on a car. Like, it just doesn't happen. For them people that believe that one person tunes it and builds it and does everything, like, it's just not even. Yo, teamwork make the dream work. I don't care what you're doing. If you're selling cereal boxes out of a cereal, like, there's so many comparisons I can use, but teamwork make the dream work, man. Like, RickSpec is all about a team coming together all for the same concept and trying to make the same, you know, overall product. I think the biggest confusion people have is that, oh, it's dyno tuned or it's street tuned or it's like, it doesn't even matter. Once it's tuned, it's tuned. If it's dialed in the right way and everything's set up the right way, then it's fine. Me personally, I like having it on dyno only because if you're tuning the car, right, and you have it there, if there's something wrong or a sensor's bad, you get the kind of, like, you hear it, like, you just you know, like, what's going on. Whereas with the E-tune, I think it's a little bit harder actually. I think tuning electronically, like through email, I think it's actually harder than tuning on a dyno. Because you don't have the car there. You might have a sensor, like if the O2 sensor, for example, we're talking about APE-Chans, right? Yes. So the primary O2 is what they use to do your, you know, your narrow trim, your air fuels, right? Yeah. So if it starts to go bad, I mean, you'll see it after a while, like, this doesn't seem like it's adding up, and you catch it. Whereas if I have it on the dyno and I have my wideband for my dyno on, then I'm kind of syncing both of them at the same time.
Okay.
And I know, like, what they do, from what I've seen and read, like on the turbo cars, the supercharged cars, they put like the AEM wideband, for example, and they'll feed it to the ECU, so you'll get that live feed from the AEM and from the stock O2, so you can kind of compare. So that helps. My only bickerment with the whole E-tune thing is, like, it's cheaper, so of course everybody's gonna do it. The experience of being on a dyno is something on its own, right? You don't have to drive like a maniac in the street to get your car tuned.
Right, do a third gear.
Yeah, you're not doing a third gear pull on 95
right,
South flying, like, oh, cop coming behind my back, you know what I mean?
Right.
But so that's the option. It's just an added option where I tend to dislike it, and it has nothing to do with the actual E-tune, is when people say, oh, my car made this, this, and this, and this, and they talk about how much horsepower they made. Then you see them at the track, and the mile an hour, like, a mile an hour on a car never lies. Like, there's been plenty of people that have been like, oh, you only made 260. But guess what? My 260 was doing 118.
Right. The trap speed was much
You know what I mean?
higher.
Like, I'm sorry, not 100. I was doing 109, 110. So, like, my trap speed matched the horsepower I had.
Right.
Then you see some of these E-tune cars, and it's like 230 horsepower, and they go 98 miles an hour. If I was to tell you, like, people that have bought my intake and then, like, come out with their intake afterwards, I think I'd get sued if I start calling that stuff out. I'm not the first one to make a 3.5-inch intake. I was the first one to make a mass-produced product of a commercial, you know, like a commercialized 3.5-inch intake. Like, here goes 20 of them, we made it, and here go the battery trim. Right. I did that, but I wasn't the first one to make a 3.5-inch. Like, I got my concept from someone else. Even with driving this car, remember how we were talking earlier about, like, what it means to have the RickSpec brand? Like, this car kind of puts it all out there for you. Because how many people like buy these cars? They spend all this money. You waste all these hours working on a car, spending money, buying buying parts, selling parts. You buy a part and 2 weeks later a new part comes out, right? And then you realize that the 2 parts you bought, you don't even need them. You spend more time actually like working towards it and building it than enjoying it. So like with this car, I'm like, this is my, I mean, it's just a 2012 SI with a Kraftwerks kit and downpipe and exhaust. You know, coilovers, some nice wheels, clutch masters, and like some Hotsport motor mounts. Very simple, you know what I mean? Like expensive, because I think to build any car, you're gonna spend some kind of money. When I made the RicSpec brand, the first thing I said to the guys was, I said, well, we can build race cars, we can build show cars, or we can build the everyday car. And Gano was the one that said, I like the everyday car. And I said, why? And he says, because people use them. And I said, yeah, you got a point. And then as you start to look at it, and I mean, when I compare things, I'm a Honda guy, so I like all the other platforms of cars too, but so I started looking at it as, how does it affect the Honda culture? And it kind of brings you to that same thing. Like for every 10 cars you might have, you'll have I don't know, maybe 2 guys that are like hardcore show cars. I mean, they got the airbags, you know, hella flush. I hate to use the term, but that's kind of what everybody recognizes it as, right? Out of every 10 cars, you probably have 6 people who, that one car is like their show car. That's their street car. That's their race car. That's their everything. That's the, I'm gonna take this car to go do groceries. I'm gonna go to the street races. I'm gonna take it to the car show on Sunday car. So when I made the RicSpec brand, you know, my focus at that point was kind of like bringing the fun all back to it. This is where all the fun goes. It's weird how the world works, man. Like if you would have asked me 10 years ago what I'd be doing, what I'm doing right now, I'd probably tell you no. But here I am, driving a supercharged 9th Gen SI on the highway, like a regular street car. So this is my race car, show car, daily driver, transportation. I actually did groceries yesterday, so I guess it's my grocery getter too.
So I guess the point we're trying to make here is RicSpec isn't all about building race cars or grocery go-getters. It's all about enjoying yourself around other enthusiasts, having fun, and making lifelong relationships. We are RicSpec, and we are a team. And again, teamwork makes the dream work.